Welcome back to the studio, and today's video is going to partly make itself as it turns out, as it transpires. So I just picked up my camcorder I thought, I'll just do a nice, quick and easy video to update you, just have a chat with you really about my creative process, what my creative day in the studio has been like. And the battery ran out on my camcorder. I like this camcorder. I bought this actually as a little toy, if you like a creative tool, because I had an idea of what the camcorder would represent for me. You know, a bit like you might have the same relationship with a pen or a notebook, like this Quaco Sport here. I love writing with this, it writes beautifully. And so the camcorder is a bit like that. It was an object that would make me want to create and make things in a different way to what I might otherwise. I guess you say it's the difference between, like with this, the Quaco Sport, and maybe a nice Leuchtturm pencil, the camcorder, as opposed to the mirrorless camera that I'm filming with now, as opposed to my iPhone, and as opposed to my 360 camera, which is beneath a pile of books over there. So the battery broke, ran out, and so then I thought, don't worry, I've got another spare battery that I keep in a little camera bag. Got that out. That's dead as well. So I've now had to go back to my mirrorless camera that I use for my walking channel, and here we are. So that it's interesting because there is no quick and easy, is there? I think the lesson is that you think, oh, this would be quick and easy, I'll just do that. And actually, no, take your time. Although I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit there. Take your time and do the thing the way it should be done properly. Don't cut corners. That isn't really what the subject was going to be, but I suppose in a way it's all part of it. When I did my morning pages in here earlier today, and like I said in the first take, I'm not even going to look at that. But what I was saying there is that part of the intention of this channel was to make videos a little bit like morning pages, actually. That after I write my morning pages, I would share with you what came out of it, and then also my love of notebooks as well. And it's one part of that, the notebook thing, great. But I did feel I've sort of trailed off on these more kind of free-form style videos. So this is what this intends to be. But I really wanted to, I suppose, riff around that idea of a creative practice in reality. There's the idea of writing and making stuff. I'm in here to edit a video for my main channel, John Rogers Walks, a walk I shot yesterday in Anglo-Saxon London. In my mind, that's what happened. I went for a walk in Anglo-Saxon London. That's the kind of thing I want to write, actually, but that's a different subject. That is something I want to work on next. And of course, this week, I really need to try and get a bit more stuck into the book I'm working on at the moment. And I have a contract, a signed piece of paper with a small press in South Wales, wonderful small press called Three Imposters. Go and take a look at their catalogue. They really specialise in keeping the work of Arthur Machen alive and in print. And I collaborated with them a couple of years ago on a short publication as part of their London Adventure series. We've got amazing authors in that series. And I wrote a text called The Black Path. And it was a great experience working with them. They're really lovely people. So I was delighted to carry on working with them. Now I'm working on this longer book with them, which is like 30 to 35,000 words. So it's half the traditional length of a book, but it's still a substantial amount to do. And I've got loads to put into that book. I've got more than that amount I could put in there. So I've been so far, I've been shaping it and collating the notes, and then I've sort of started 4 chapters of things that I wasn't sure whether they were going to go in or not, and seeing how they kind of test them out on the page. Unfortunately for me, they've worked really well on the page. So I'll probably develop them further. So obviously quite a few things are going to be left out that I thought would be in there simply because they're going to be down the queue of things that I'll be working on. So this week I wanted to get stuck into it, and it's like, how do I manage my time in here when I'm working? When I've got a video to edit, when I've got writing to do. The writing can move around, right? I have a publication schedule on my other YouTube channel where I publish on a Sunday evening. So I'm working towards that kind of deadline every week. Researching and prepping the walks, doing the walk itself, which is a day in a reality. And then I usually edit over 2 to 3 days. So that's 5 to 6 days of work, isn't it? not full time, obviously, it's not like full days. So then when you're doing other stuff, how do you fit it into those days around it? And I find, I don't know about yourselves, but I find with writing, I have to spend a lot of time just kind of sitting here with it before I really get the flow going, before it really starts to come out. The other day I was like, I haven't written enough so far on that book, so I need to just write something. And I had a good session, but I think the thing that really came up, number one, it was the Walter Benjamin line from the previous video of no day without a line. I have that all the time. It goes in my morning pages nearly every time now. No day without a line. I love that, whatever it is. And I'm now trying to apply a similar principle to the book. So actually, when I put the camera down, when I put the camera down, I'll loosely edit this video and upload it. But at some point this evening, because it's the evening now, I didn't start work until 1. That's the creative life, right? Choose your own hours. I didn't start work until 1, and so I'll try and do some writing this evening. Bearing in mind, This Other London, my first book that I wrote for HarperCollins, I used to write all of that at night time. And funnily enough, to kind of dovetail the two ideas together, one of the ways I got myself through that, wait till the kids had gone to bed, when the wife had gone to bed, go to the pub and do a bit of reading for that day's writing, come home here about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then write until 2 a.m. and then up the next day for work, get the kids to school, all that kind of jazz. The way I could push myself through was by saying, well, I really want to watch an episode of Black Books. If you like books, you love Black Books if you've not seen it. I know if you're not in the UK, it might not be so easy to be able to watch it. Fantastic sitcom, starring and co-written by Dylan Moran, brilliant Irish comedian, fantastic. Set in a bookshop in London. What a wonderful second-hand bookshop. What a wonderful, actually not just second-hand books, I don't think. But anyway, by the by. And so I would say, well, I can't watch an episode of that, because then that would be it at that time of night until I've done some writing. So I would break it up. And so I think then I used to aim for 500 words a session. So if I'd done 250 words, I could have an episode. And then and instantly then it would start auto-playing the next episode. This was when I was watching them on DVD. You go, no, but I can't until I do the next 250 words. And once I finish the next 250 words, then I would reward myself with another episode of Black Books, and then I could go to bed, which was great. And that worked really, really well. So last night I went to see Dylan Moran, co-writer and star of Black Books, who was playing at a nearby theatre, the Soho Theatre Walthamstow, which is confusing, isn't it? Because Soho Theatre should just be in Soho, but they somehow managed to have a branch in Walthamstow called Soho Theatre Walthamstow, which I think is going to confuse a lot of people. If you just buy a ticket to see Dylan Moran, Soho Theatre, I wonder how many people went to Soho yesterday thinking that was where it was going to be. And I saw Dylan Moran on stage last night doing stand-up comedy, and why I thought about it in connection to this isn't just, I went to a gig last night to see comedy. It was brilliant in terms of like creativity, because there were actually 4 acts on the bill. There was a compere and 4 acts, and then Dylan Moran was the headliner. But so it was organised a bit like a club night, but it's in a 1,000-seat theatre. And the four other acts were great. They were funny, which is all you can ask for with a comedian. They were funny. But it wasn't until Dylan Moran came out that you just noticed the difference. And the difference, I would say, was creativity of someone who obviously comes from confidence and having done it for years. I think he won the Perrier Award, like the Premium Comedy Award. I think he won that in, 1996. So he's had a good 30 years. So oozing confidence, been on the TV, he's been in movies, Shaun of the Dead, most memorably for me. And so obviously that makes a difference, but just the sheer kind of freewheeling, might not have been improvised, but bits of it felt improvised. Just art, actually felt like art, as well as being really, really funny. His use of language, not really, following necessarily comedic conventions, whereas it made you look back at the 4 people who were all very good, very professional, funny, polished, great. But that was it. They were polished. They were following a formula. You could kind of see it a little bit. And it reminded me of that difference of what it takes when someone's just gonna, I mean, he's honed his craft, like I say, for more than 30, it must be 35 years. So I think that's probably the difference that you're seeing. So it did make me think when I did my morning pages about, that idea of letting go a little bit more, of relaxing a little bit more, and being a little bit more improvisational in my writing. Because when I sat down the other day to write, I started to write the chapter I've already been working on. I'd written about 800 words of the chapter. They're going to be fairly short chapters, or aiming to be. Some of them will be long, but there'll be a bit of a mixed bag. And I started to do the dutiful thing of writing the next thing in the sequence of events. Well, I got a bit bogged down in the admin of it, and then instantly I thought, well, hang on a moment, I want to swap to the thing actually I'd just been looking at when I was researching the video I was shooting for John Rogers Walks, and I was like, I was so excited about it, and it's relevant to the topic of the book. And I was like, I'm going to write that about that experience, the what I found, so the subject matter, but also the reason I'm writing it is because I'm excited about it, right? And I think that's the key point. Do what excites you, do what you feel passionate about, do what stimulates you, what keeps you interested. Yes, there's going to be a bit of a grind. You're going to have to grind it out a little bit. The chapter that I needed to progress, that started out a similar way. But even in that chapter, when I returned to it to then move it forward, it was a lot easier because I'd kind of loosened myself up and had some fun and was happy with what I was writing. There's always a thing I remind myself, can I actually do this? Do I know how to do this? Can I do this? And you go, oh yeah, I've written something that I like, which is the first person you've got to please is yourself, isn't it? You've no chance of pleasing anyone else if you can't please yourself. But then it reminded me that that chapter had started that way, where I was writing about a walk I'd done 2009, I think it was. And I was really reveling in delving into the past. And because it was something that was a bit older, it allowed me to be a bit more creative with it. And I thought, there's no reason why I can't do that with something that I did a month ago, 2 months ago, and have as much fun with it as I would something I feel less precious about. So I think that is probably enough creative rambling from the studio. I think there's an important lesson for myself in that. And I'm going to sit here, I'm going to upload this pretty raw and then get on with the editing. And then I'm going to write. Maybe I'll watch an episode of Black Books tonight after I've written 500 words. So I hope you're well. Thank you for continuing to support this channel. And I look forward to seeing you on the next page.